Alrighty, y'all. Welcome back to the Rip Drip Pod. Today we have episode 6, and we have a very special guest, Isaiah Ferguson. This is a good friend of ours here in Tampa. Also, a very established and successful fitness coach. He's done 7 figures with his company so far, and so we wanted to bring him on, pick his brain, and just share some insights with you guys in terms of how to grow your coaching business and be successful with it and run a solid operation. So, Isaiah, great to have you on board, bro.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, man.
Of course. We always like to dive into Yori initially. If you can give us like a quick, condensed, like catch us up to speed. How did you get into the space? And
Yeah.
then, what brought you to current date right now?
Yeah. So I ended up in the space by chance. I didn't really set out to be a fitness coach. I used to be a content creator. So I used to do videography, create like social media ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. And I was creating content for one of the leaders in the space, Tanner Chittister is his name.
Mhm.
And after creating his content, I started editing his testimonials for his actual clients. And I saw his clients making like 10K in 30 days. And I saw, 50K in 30 days. I saw 100K in 30 days. And I was like, hold on. I got to figure out what's going on here. I got to figure out how they're actually doing this. So after a while, just paying attention to how the process works, seeing what they were pitching, how they were doing the content, I was like, yo, I could do this. I got a 6 pack. I've been playing sports my whole life. I could put together a fitness offer and start making the same type of money. And eventually I just told him, I was like, bro, I want to make more bread. I don't want to ask you for a raise. Let me come into the coaching program, teach me how to do this, and I'll run it on the side. And then eventually it just got to a point where the fitness business was doing more than he was paying me. And I didn't have to be with him all the time. I could kind of do it wherever. And it just made sense to transition into doing it full time. So that's the story on how I got to full time, and then I just continued investing in his program up until about like a year and a half ago. I've been navigating it on my own. It's just pretty much rinse and repeat.
Nice. That's fire. Did you initially, because I know for you, one thing that you've done very well is like you've really niched down to one demographic. Did you initially start with that, or were you pretty broad and then how did it kind of evolve over time?
Yeah, it was broad. I was just trying to help whoever needed help at the beginning. And over time, I would tell my mom's story inside of fitness and like her weight loss struggles. A lot of women would resonate with the same story. So I was noticing over time, I'm only getting women. There's only women coming to me. I didn't understand why. And then it clicked one day, okay, it's my mom's story that they're resonating with. And then they kept asking me about menopause stuff while they're in the coaching program. I didn't have answers at the time, so I just kept studying it to better provide a solution for them. And then eventually I was like, let me just post this on Instagram and see how people react to it. And for the first post, got thousands of comments asking for a free training that I was giving away. And then that training got like over 10,000 views. And I was like, okay, like clearly there's a need for this solution with these women. They're definitely underserved. And that's when I made the transition to niching down a little bit more.
That's fire. Is that what
Yeah.
kind of, I'm assuming that's one of the things that really blew up the account? Because you, how many followers do you have now? It's like 100 something
Yeah. Like
thousand.
190 something K on Instagram, like 100K on Facebook, posting the same type of content.
Yeah, okay. So it was after that, like once you found that piece of
Yeah.
content that popped off, everything just started
Yeah.
snowballing.
Yeah, exactly. I was saying some things that was kind of triggering some women, triggering some coaches, and it just started going viral and created like a
Yeah.
snowball effect.
That's fire. I would love to dive into that. Obviously, that's one of the most important things when it comes to running the coaching business is getting the lead flow, getting the
Yeah.
impressions, getting people into your funnel, selling them from there. Like what is, if we can, I don't know, just dive into your process there, your strategy. What does that look like? What would you recommend to people if they're, let's say they're doing 10, 20K a month and they just want to take it to the next level. They want to grow their audience, get a ton more leads. Like what would that process look like? And what does it look like for you as well?
Yeah, so there's only two ways to do it. It's either organic or paid traffic. It's one of the two. If it's going to be organic, you have to get good at creating content that speaks to your ideal client. If it's shareable, it's savable, they're going to share it to more people who resonate with that. The algorithm is going to push it to more people who are interested in that content. If you can't get organic to pop, then you have to pay for the ads, right? So I bounce back and forth between the two, depending on how organic's performing. If organic's performing well and we're getting a bunch of free leads coming in, then I might dial down the ad spend. If organic's slowing down and we need more leads coming in or to run like retargeting ads for the existing audience, then we'll up the spend. So I don't think you should choose either or. There's always got to be a mix of the two if you want some sort of predictability. But that's the route that I go. The mix between organic and paid traffic, just so that there's always consistent leads coming up. Even the leads that came in months ago or started following a year ago. I have people who start my coaching program that follow me for 2, 3 years.
Wow.
But because they're continuing to see the content and continuing to see retargeting ads, the game is to catch them at the right time. When they're in the most pain, maybe their husband said something that they didn't like, or the kid made a slick comment, or summertime they can't fit in this dress or these pants. Your stuff pops up at the right time. That's when you catch them. So that's my mindset around lead gen and content and ads and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's more of a like a longer term kind of process as
Yeah.
well, where you're not looking for like the immediate follow and then book a call and then sale. You're seeing it as like a nurturing kind of process over the course of how long would you say? A couple of weeks, couple of months, like on average when people
On
see and
average, I would say 3 to 4 months.
okay.
Sometimes you can collapse that time if the content is like really hitting. The fastest I've seen that turnover consistently is like 1 to 2 months, but on average, like 3 to 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think a lot of coaches when they're starting out, they kind of miss too, where they want it immediately. They're trying to get that follow right away to a book call, right away to a sale. Whereas typically it does take some time to like really nurture that lead. In terms of the content strategy itself, I guess to start out with like the organic, is there a certain number of like posts you're trying to do per week, or is it just off the cuff? How are you structuring that organic content just system overall?
I do what I can keep up with. So 3 days per week is usually my low end. It's like I don't want to go below that. If I
Mhm.
can keep up with posting daily or even twice a day, I'll do it. Right now, I think the algorithm has shifted a little bit where people are seeing less reach. So to get the same reach, like you just got to post more. So I'm mixing up like highly produced content with just FaceTime style content plus carousels just to get more reach organically. So right now I'm pushing like 2, 3 times per day. If I fall below that, I'm not killing myself over it because the ads are still running. All right. So it's
Yeah.
still finding that balance.
How does your sales process work? Do you typically book calls through like a VSL or do you do webinars? How does it fluctuate?
Yeah, it's all in the DMs, bro. It goes down in the DMs. So all the content, the ads, even the two steps in some of the content, if I'm giving away like freebies, the whole goal is to get them in the DMs. If you can have a conversation with them, the likelihood of them booking a call is gonna go up exponentially, especially with fitness. Because with fitness, people are like they're so finicky. That they have this extreme goal at 1 minute, and then 2 days later they get busy, and all of a sudden they forget. They forget that it's something that they wanted to do. So if you can have that conversation with them, you can get in their brain a little bit, overcome some of the objections, and finally get them on the call. So I do everything in the DM. If I send a VSL, it's to help push them along in the process of what we're doing in the DMs.
Do you ever close inside the DMs or is it always nurture, pre-qualify, and then get them on the call?
Always on a call. I haven't cracked that code with closing them in the DMs. I know some people who do it. I think you'll always convert more people on a call than in the DM because you're talking to them face to face.
Yeah.
But I think everybody would like to just close in the DMs where you you don't got to take any sales calls.
Yeah, a lot of the coaches that we speak with are kind of at the point where they're like, do I handle all these DMs myself? Do I get setters? At what point, whether it's revenue wise, volume wise, would you say you should outsource to a setter and start to focus on, producing more winning content, being more present with your clients, actually focusing on the needle moving aspects of the business as opposed to sitting inside your DMs? And are you still in the DMs or are you, outsourcing that?
I would say when you have the capital for it, because the DMs that's the first point of contact that someone has with your business. So you want to make sure that the conversations that you're having in there are quality conversations
Yeah.
because that it's a money making activity. That's the way that I see it. It's the first point of contact. If that process doesn't go well, I don't get them on the call to actually close them. So in the beginning, I held on to the DMs for a pretty long time. The first hire I made was a coach so I can get out of fulfillment. And then I'm spending all my time doing DMs and sales calls, DMs, content, sales calls. And then eventually where it's like, okay, well, I'm getting so many sales calls booked that now I don't have enough time to spend in the DM to continue booking them. Now I got to get somebody else to do the booking. So now all I'm focusing on is the content and the sales calls. And that's the space that I've been in. I've been in that space for a while where I'm just focusing on content, sales calls. If I'm in the DMs, is to review stuff. Or if I'm seeing like call volume is starting to drop, or the mindset that people are showing up on the call with is not the best mindset for me to close them, then I got to go back in the DMs and review the process and see where we getting loose with things. Because like sending DMs is pretty repetitive and redundant. Sometimes setters get lazy, they're getting like a little groove, they start stepping away from the process, and then you got to reel them back in.
You mentioned something very interesting, like when the prospects are not showing up to the calls, like framed in the best way possible.
Yeah.
What does that usually stem from? And then how do you go and you fix that? And like, what is the best way to then pre-frame those leads before they actually hop on the call? Like, what's worked for you?
We do a few things. So I'd say the content is the first part, right? What message you're sending across in the content and how are they viewing what you offer? And then in the DMs is how are you qualifying them? Are you making sure that the problem that they need solved is what we actually offer? Is the solution that they're looking for? Is it aligned with what we do? So if they're just looking for like workouts and you're doing a full-on transformation program, you can get somebody on a call that's looking for something for 100, 200 dollars when you're charging, 3 to 5K or whatever your offer is. So just making sure that they understand this is not going to be cheap, right? Like we're solving a big problem, even trying to widen the gap with how they perceive the pain or the struggle that they're in the DMs. It makes them realize, okay, like I need a bigger solution than what I initially thought. Those are some things. And then also we send them some pre-call videos to watch before they get on the call. It's like a couple videos to watch that lets them know what we're going to focus on, how the program works. Again, it's not going to be cheap. It's like little things in there, not telling them the price, but letting them know, hey, this is not going to be some little PDF with just check-ins that, random check-ins every now and then that you get. It's a full-on coaching program that's going to change your life pretty much. So have your credit card ready.
Something that we've seen once in a while, I'm sure you've seen this too, where some people will have a lot of followers, they'll have a lot of engagement, but they're not getting that many qualified leads that are actually DMing them, hopping on sales calls, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think separates the person that, and I've seen this sometimes where someone will have barely any followers, they'll have maybe 10, 20, 30K followers, but they're getting way more DMs than someone that has 500,000, for example, or a million. What do you think differentiates those two different coaches and their content strategies? And if someone is in that situation where they have a lot of impressions, their reels are popping off, they're getting a lot of followers, but they're not getting a lot of DMs, how can they switch their strategy to then, get like you basically, where you're getting a lot of that inflow coming in, whether it's through organic or even through the ads?
You have to speak to one person and solve one problem. And if you're doing that, chances are your engagement is not going to be as high as if you're creating content that speaks to everybody and is super viral. So you may get less engagement, but the people that are engaging are the right people that actually want the problem solved that you could solve. Now, if you can do both, that's like the holy grail. If you can speak to that problem, that person, and it's going viral, I think that's definitely best case scenario. But you got to get laser focused on one person, one problem, one solution. And I think a lot of people who like the followers and like the engagement and like the vanity metrics, it's tough for them to accept that because they get a high off of those things. But that doesn't actually lead to making money. I had my first 10K month with 600 followers. So I've never been attached to the followers. I want to know how many quality conversations are we having, how many calls are we getting booked. The following grew just by chance, cracking that other code where it's going viral, but it's also speaking to the right person. But if you can't convert them, it doesn't matter.
One other thing that comes to mind, so we were talking with Danny Tran last week. He was on the pod, and one thing that he was mentioning was that he loves to talk about like his story, his day-to-day, even struggles, because people will buy into his personality as the coach. Have you found that to be very helpful for you as well? Because I know for you, I mean, it's you're a male selling to females. Are you finding that also like very, very important to actually bring those leads in? Or have you just found that like, hey, I'm talking about this pain point and how it can be solved, and my mother's story to then sell them? Like, what has worked for you there? Like, is that helpful?
My personal story, I think they like hearing some of those things to know that I've had some sort of transformation or to know how my mind works and what type of person I am. So that they connect with me in that way, where they trust me as like a person and as a coach. But the actual fitness side of things, they're more connected to my mom's story and also the sincerity in my delivery. That's something that they say to me a lot. It's like, yeah, I don't feel like you're trying to sell me something. Everything that you're
Mm.
saying, it makes sense. It sounds genuine. It's what I've already been researching. And I can tell you actually care about getting your clients results. So I'd say it's a combination of those things. They're buying more into that and that aspect of me than what I've personally been through. 'Cause I don't think they can relate as much to, I used to be a former athlete and it's a completely different mindset that they'd probably think I'm a little more extreme than what they need. So I try to find the right balance.
That totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. One thing I want to ask as well is you mentioned when you're noticing your lead flow kind of slows down from organic, you'll turn up the ads a little bit more or vice versa to kind of find this good balance. If you're noticing, let's say the organic lead flow is going down, does it always work to just, hey, bump up the ad spend and then you keep going from there? Or are there certain things you have to tweak? And then what is, I guess the question I'm trying to get down to is like, how do you understand what to fix if someone's lead flow starts to kind of like slow down over the course of a week or two? What things are you looking at and what are you trying to adjust to then get things back into balance and get the call volume back up?
I think you'll always get to a point where you exhaust your current following, depending on the size of followers. Like they'll get fatigued with your offer if they're seeing the same thing over and over again. You had like a ton of different conversations, and your existing following isn't buying. Then you got to get some fresh eyeballs on your stuff and get some new people into the ecosystem. So it really depends. So for me right now, I'm running a lot of retargeting ads just because I have a decent sized following. And there's definitely people in my following who either aren't seeing my stuff because of the algorithm or, maybe their interest changed to something else over time. So I'm just gonna pay to put it in front of them more. Right. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I haven't seen your stuff in a while. Boom, boom, you start getting more calls booked. So I think it just depends on your setup. I try to split the budget where there's always some flow of new people coming in from paid ads. If the account's growing organically, then I'll turn down the spend on like the top of funnel ads, right? So that's the way that I view it. It's like top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. So what I'm usually tweaking is the top of funnel ad spend. If organic's
Yeah.
popping, I'm already getting a bunch of fresh eyeballs, new followers. I don't need to spend on top of funnel ads. Then I can reduce that and just keep spending on retargeting, for
Mhm.
example. Yeah.
Love that, dude. I mean, we've covered a lot. This has been like some very tactical stuff. I think if there's any fitness coaches that are watching this, they would definitely find some value in this. Tom, I know I had the mic the whole time. You got any other questions before we kind of wrap it up?
Yeah, I do actually. I'm curious. You've been doing the niche down to women for a super long time, and sounds like that really stemmed, from your mother's transformation, which is amazing. And one thing that I like to say on sales calls a lot is facts tell and stories sell. And it sounds like your story is really what's helped drive you to be very, very successful in this niche. I'm curious for you, and with all the experience you've had and the knowledge you've gained over the past few years, what's next for you in terms of your coaching business? Are you going to continue to coach these women? Do you think you'll ever switch niches? Do you have other ambitions for ways that you're going to change the business potentially? Or do you think you're just going to ride this thing out for as long as it lasts?
That's a great question. I think I'm in the middle of figuring that out. in my mind, it's like if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of thing. I definitely enjoy coaching them. I love the results that they get, the way that they appreciate the work that we do. So that part of it is very fulfilling. But I think everyone gets a little bit bored at times. You start thinking about, okay, what else can I do? Or maybe I should switch it up and try to do this instead. So I get those ideas. I just haven't found something that's enough to fully pull me away from what I'm doing right now. But the ideas have been coming there. I've had thoughts about, building like a low ticket community where I can kind of keep it running, lower revenue, less sales calls, free up my time to focus on something else. But I haven't found the next thing. So I'm trying to just stay present and, do as well as I can inside of what we got going on right now.
Love that. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep
Yeah,
running.
yeah. Yeah, bro.
That's fire. Amazing. Well, Isaiah, thank you for coming on. Great to have you here and share some wisdom, share some insights. Where can people find you if they want either fitness coaching or even if they just want some consulting to, grow their fitness coaching business? Where can people find you? Plug your stuff.
IG, social media at Isaiah, Isaiah, Ferguson, Fergusson.
Beautiful.
Hit me in the DMs.
Yes, sir.
I said refer your mom, refer your sister.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all of it.
Over 40.
Isaiah will take care of it for sure. Amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah, hit up Isaiah. If you guys need
All right,
that. Obviously,
fellas.
if you guys need to automate your DMs, hit us up at Rip Drip DM as well. Catch you guys in the next pod. Peace.
Peace.